the One Piece chapter 084. We get it back again, although isn't there a chance we won't get next week, because wasn't it Golden Week? Well, it doesn't matter right now. What matters is the birdcage is shrinking farther and farther. As Usopp, of course, panics, Zoro takes the samurais in order to try to stop it by, I guess, using their slash attack. Elsewhere, Law's arm, yes, has been reattached by Leo, just as I thought it would be. And he and Cavendish had actually some kind of a pal talk, saying that he knew once they would fighting they would create a storm, and you guys are in the middle of this storm. But that's just fine with me. Showing once again that Cavendish is just not just some vain jerk. He knows and accepts things. Elsewhere, the moment of truth is here. Luffy enters his Gear 4 mode. A new mode that, for me, looks a bit inspired by his Nightmare Luffy form, although not completely. What he does is he concludes, he takes off his shoes, hardens his arm, then blows in it just like when he did Gear 3. Only this time he gets muscle balloon, and he continues to except letting it flow from body to body, he continued to blow upon it until his elastic body has changed into his Gear 4 form, Bounce Man. Apparently utilizing, now has blown up so much that he has turned into a bouncing rubber ball, and his arm and legs are coated in black haki. He bounces around, having not so much mobility, saying he gained this form for fighting against monsters that was giant-sized on the island. And he chose that it's just, as Rob Lucci, he laughed off his Gear 3 only to get a punch in the, body. And Don Flamingo does the same. I mean, Luffy looks kind of ridiculous, but the deal is the real deal. He expands the arm. Well, not expands, he pulls in the arm, similar to a badass cannon-like thing. And just like the spring fruit. And then when he launches that punch, it's so incredible that Don Flamingo flies away. Oh, that was satisfying. But he's not down yet. Well, it would have been kind of bad if Don Flamingo was down from just that. But he is obviously reaching the biggest of his anger. The citizen run away as soon as they see that, and Luffy reveals apparently, well, he can still stretch in this form, but he decides not to stretch after Don Flamingo, but instead using the spring-like powers in his legs to fly, or glide more likely. He then utilizes a new attack. The first one was called King Kong Cannon, I think. The other one's called Rhino Hodlizer, using both his legs, delivering a kick. Well, two kick. Don Flamingo gets angrier and realizes that and tries to figure out how Luffy could do this. He used the haki to harden his skin, and then utilizing the increased this elasticity with tenfold. As Luffy tries to do another cannon, Don Flamingo decides to dodge it, proving that while Luffy is more powerful in this form, he may not have incredible speed or mobility. But that doesn't matter. Don Flamingo tries to do athletic again. It turns out that Luffy's hardened haki is actually harder than when he fought before. I haven't really gotten this answered myself, but it seems that before he has hardened his body, but now he has hardened his body's elasticity, meaning that he literally bounces off Don Flamingo's attack and can still utilize some boing effects to stretch out, and hits Don Flamingo with another attack again, showing Gear 4 is just like the other forms, badass. That's basically this chapter. It was just Don Flamingo getting his ass kicked, and Law and Cavendish having a Shami talks. So yeah, this was a good chapter. A bit better than the other than ones we have seen yet. A lot of people guessed Luffy would have a form. I did not guess that, but I'm glad he did have a new form, and that it was a form that did not disappoint. Although I still not have understood yet what kind of form he has. I mean, here Don Flamingo says something like an armored haki on a rubber. I don't get it why he is surprised, because Luffy had used armored haki on his rubber body before. But maybe this time his body really felt like rubber and not just like Haki's tightening it. Well, that's basically this chapter again. And well, unless Don Flamingo, of course, shows another trick up his sleeve, then I have to say that in just a couple of chapters more, Don Flamingo will be lying on the ground. But we should not count our chickens yet. Will this form have a side effect? Or will it not have? We only can see it until next chapter, but as I said before, isn't there Golden Week in Japan next week? And if it's that way, then that means all chapters, especially Jump, will not release next week. If anybody's watching, give me your thoughts and about that, if you have any.